In November 1984, Billy Ocean's Caribbean Queen, No More Love on the Run, dethroned Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You to take the #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. The song was a bold fusion of soul, reggae, R&B, and pop, unlike anything that had been heard before on Top 40 radio, and the singer followed it up with several more hits like Loverboy, Suddenly, and When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going. But just as MTV and music lovers across America were finally ready to embrace Billy as a superstar, around the time that 1988's Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car hit #1 and appeared in the teen comedy film License to Drive, he completely vanished. Billy Ocean was born Leslie Sebastian Charles on January 21st, 1950, in Fyzabad, Trinidad. Music was a big part of his young life. His father, an amateur calypso musician, used to push his son towards center stage to sing at parties. He was even forced to sing in an all-girls choir when his sister/babysitter dragged him to her choir practices rather than leave him home alone. He received his first musical instrument, a ukulele, from a friend of the family when he was 3. His family moved to England in 1960 and settled in the East London town of Romford when Billy was 10 years old. The UK music scene wasn't too interesting when they arrived, but that changed dramatically within a couple of years. By the time he was a teenager, London was the epicenter of the pop music universe, and he soaked it all in like a sponge. But as his interest in music grew, his grades in school deteriorated badly. So to satisfy his parents' wishes, a teenage Billy worked as a tailor on London's Savile Row by day and sang in clubs with various bands at night. By 1975, he was working at a Ford factory. When he heard that a woman was redecorating her house and wanted to get rid of a mini upright piano, he bought it off her for £23, even though he had little experience with the instrument. When he was messing around one night, he came up with the melody and lyrics for a song he'd eventually call Love Really Hurts Without You when he recorded it with producer Ben Findon. The song ended up being the first single from his self-titled debut album, released in 1976. Much to his shock, it reached #2 on the UK singles chart in England and #22 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States. Prior to that song, Billy actually released several other non-album tracks between 1971 and 1974 under a variety of monikers, including his birth name, as well as with a band he fronted called Scorched Earth. It was also around this time that he finally decided to call himself Billy Ocean for the rest of his career. He took the name from a football team he'd followed in Trinidad called Ocean's 11, then added Billy. The success of Love Really Hurts Without You allowed him to quit his job at the factory. He also used the royalty money to buy a house. But the 3 other studio albums he released between 1976 and 1982, 1980's City Limit, 1981's Nights Feel Like Getting Down, and 1982's Inner Feelings, through his record label GTO, didn't bring him any success. One small exception would be the title track to his 1982 album, as it gained some popularity in America when it was chosen to play on a Jane Fonda aerobics video. But when GTO was bought out by CBS Records, his career stalled. The new label's plans for him were sketchy at best, and contract squabbles kept the singer out of the recording studio for a couple of years. To make matters worse, Billy's depression was compounded by the tragic death of his infant son. In a 2020 interview with Rolling Stone, he said, "I started to listen to American music after that. It was people like Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, Stax, and Motown. I grew up with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, but suddenly I'm hearing black music. I'm hearing music created by black musicians and black singers that wasn't calypso. Great musicianship. I also got into reggae, which I never even heard until I came to England." All of these new influences, combined with a bit of 80s synth pop, came into play during the making of Billy's 1984 LP, Suddenly, released on Jive Records. The lead-off single, Caribbean Queen, No More Love on the Run, was also recorded under the titles African Queen and European Queen for different markets, helping it top charts all across the planet. It went to #6 in the UK and #1 on both the US pop and R&B charts. The song also scored Billy 2 Grammy Award nominations, and he won the award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance in 1985. The album's title track also became a success, peaking at #4 on both the UK singles chart and the Hot 100.
You wake up and suddenly you're in love.
Another single, Loverboy, claimed the number 15 spot in the UK and the number 2 spot in the US.
With the hit single Caribbean Queen, Billy Ocean has finally achieved the success that had eluded him after 4 albums and 10 years in the music business.
It's great. It's great. I mean, even being called newcomer, overnight success. At least, you know, people are taking notice, which is what I've been wanting to get for the last how many years.
Caribbean Queen reached #1 not only on the R&B and dance charts, but also on the pop chart. And with that, Ocean joined the likes of Tina Turner, Michael Jackson, and Prince as black artists who have successfully made the crossover into pop music.
It's exciting. It could be better. It's brilliant. I don't know whether I deserve to be in you know, the category of people like that, because they've done so much more than I have. But yes, it is important for artists who are coming along.
Billy had finally kicked off an incredible run of success for himself that continued with the 1986 album Love Zone. It featured the number 12 UK and number 1 US hit, There'll Be Sad Songs to Make You Cry, and the number 1 UK and number 2 US hit, When the Going Gets Tough, the Tough Get Going, from the action-adventure romantic comedy film The Jewel of the Nile. In a 1986 interview with the LA Times, he mused about his stardom. Trying to stay sane in the middle of all this is one of the hardest things in the world to do, as hard as I thought it would be. Things are really different. There are all these forces at work, strong forces. It's like nothing average people usually deal with. It's strange to be in the middle of it. You can get caught up in it very easily and be swept away. I'm not trying to set myself up as a saint. I'm no saint. I'm just a person trying to survive in a situation that has two sides. It's pleasant and desirable on one hand, but it can also destroy you if you let it. 1988's Tear Down These Walls produced Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car.
Get out of my dreams. Get into my car.
It went to number 3 on the UK singles chart and gave Billy another number 1 pop chart placement in the US. Though his popularity had been proven with consistently strong record sales, Billy was not without his critics, some of whom took issue with his tendency to write his songs according to a pop formula. One critic claimed that he didn't have a distinctive voice from his contemporaries, and that the reason he'd had more pop success than others could be attributed to his uncanny ability to recycle past hits, comparing Caribbean Queen to Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, Loverboy to Foreigner's Urgent, and Suddenly to Lionel Richie's Hello. But Billy acknowledged these shortcomings readily, without bitterness. He knew what he was trying to accomplish with his music, and he knew his own limitations. I just try to instill happiness in my music. You know, my songs may not be the best songs in the world, but I really think that what I lack in talent and everything, I gain in approach. I just want it to be fun. I just want it to be loose. As the years tick by, the excitement of life as a major pop star diminished for Billy. I was a little bit disappointed with all the success and glamour around me. It wasn't what I thought it would be. Things got a little pear-shaped. When success comes, you find that the people around you change a bit. Maybe it's you that changes. I don't know what it is. It wasn't like when I started. After a brief tour in 1988 to support Tear Down These Walls, Billy decided he'd had enough. I thought the best thing to do before this thing destroys me was to get out and spend some time with my family. Also, my mother died in 1989. I just needed a break. Before his mother passed away from ovarian cancer, she gave Billy a copy of the Bible, and he got more and more interested in it. Somewhere along the line, he became aware of Rastafari, and also became a vegetarian. Rastafari became his anchor, keeping him grounded not only in his career, but in his life. Billy briefly emerged in 1993 to release Time to Move On, but he'd been gone a very long 5 years, and the music industry was in a radically different place than it was when Get Out of My Dreams, Get Into My Car hit. The album sank without a trace, and he didn't tour behind it. Rather than somehow find a way to survive in the age of Pearl Jam and Boyz II Men, Billy decided simply to vanish again. Before he knew it, more than a decade had passed.
The funny thing about success is that you have success and things, you could be a little bit disillusioned. You know, friends you think are friends weren't really friends. People start falling out. You find there's a certain amount of loneliness in it, etc., etc. I used to find myself like somewhere in America. I used to be touring America quite a lot.
Yeah, a lot of hotel rooms.
Right, there you go.
It's just
There
you
go.
sitting there.
And sitting there in this hotel room, and once you start questioning yourself, what am I doing here? Why am I here?
Yeah.
I think that's very dangerous. You don't care what profession you're in. If you're not enjoying it at that particular time, and you think you need to step back from it and look at it, then, so you should. Life is based on a lot of insecurities. We're made to feel insecure if we're not doing what we're told to do, basically.
In 2007, Billy decided to get back out to perform his hits again, this time with his daughter Cherry on backing vocals, with live dates in the UK, Europe, the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Africa, and the Caribbean. The tour was a great success and culminated in his getting the bug once more for writing and recording. 2008 saw Billy back in the studio for the first time in 15 years, recording his new album, Because I Love You, which was released the following year. In 2010, Billy went back on the road again with his band in the UK, Europe, and the US with the release of The Very Best of Billy Ocean. A couple of years later, he went back into the studio to record tracks that became the album Here You Are, which was released in 2013 in the UK and 2017 in the US. One World, Billy's last studio album to date, dropped in 2020. That same year, he was appointed member of the Order of the British Empire in the New Year honors for services to music. In 2024, Billy celebrated the 40th anniversary of his breakout hit album, Suddenly. A new Ocean Blue vinyl was released on September 13th, featuring the original Jive Recordings packaging and a message from Billy printed on its inner sleeve. About the milestone, he said, "It has been 40 years since we released the Suddenly album. I'm getting goosebumps going down memory lane. I had the time of my life writing and recording this album. I still have fond memories of the excitement of recording at Unique Studios in New York. It was almost like being tested. I remember how terrible the weather was, but I was determined that nothing was going to stop me. I've been on quite a journey since, and I want to thank all of my fans for embracing these songs and allowing me the honor to still be performing them for you all these years later." Throughout June and July 2025, Billy embarked on a UK tour, performing his greatest hits and fan favorites. He'll be heading down under this September to continue the tour with a string of live shows across Australia.